Hello YouTube, welcome to today's video. I don't know if anyone has made a video like this, but I am really bored of the current meta, especially in jungle. Of course I'm biased because I don't play the current meta champions. But in today's video I wanted to kind of pretend that I am a Rioter who gets to do the balance changes, and then I will put the different champions in different categories in terms of do they need a buff or a nerf, or are they completely fine. I'm gonna do this video as fast as possible, and I'm not gonna go too much into specific changes because I don't know that much, but let's just start. So Aphelios, I think Aphelios is fine. I think we sometimes see him, but he's just not really in the meta. Lilia, she very recently just got buffed. Oh, this is for patch 13.3 by the way. I know that the changes for 13.4 have already been told on Twitter, but I'm not taking those into account, so this will be for patch 13.3. Aatrox I think is also fine. Don't really see him too much in the meta, but from time to time I see him. Ari I think is fine. I see this champion from time to time. Akali as well. Akshan, kind of same thing. Alistar just got buffed in patch 13.3, so I think he's fine. Amumu I think needs a small nerf because he's very strong. Just because all the tanks seem very strong in the meta, so a lot of tanks I feel like should get nerfed. Anivia, I really dislike this champion. There's just something about it, like I don't really like it. Annie is like Omega broken, so we need to nerf this. Ashe, I'm simply tired of seeing Ashe support. And if not Ashe support, then I see it on Ashe AD carry. Aurelion Soul is also just Omega broken, so this has to be nerfed quite a lot. Azir I think is fine. Bard I actually don't see that much in the current meta, so I think he's also fine. Blitzcrank, I mean, Blitzcrank can get a small buff, I wouldn't really mind that. Brand I think is fine. Braum I think also just got buffed. Caitlyn I'm okay with. She's kind of like in the meta, obviously with Lux, but yeah, I think it's not too bad. Camille is also fine. Cash is also fine. Cho'Gath also recently got buffed, so I think he's fine. Corki, I would like to put him in like small buff, but I also know that even just the slightest change to Corki makes him being picked quite a lot. So unless I want to actually change the entire meta, I'm gonna put him in fine. Darius I think is also fine. Diana I think is also fine. Draven I think is fine. Mundo I think is fine. Echo I think is fine. Elise I think will get a small nerf, and she does get a small nerf in 13.4, which is kind of good. I just don't know if it's good enough. And then Evelyn I think is fine. Eshu I think is fine. Fiddle I think is fine. Fiora I think is fine. Fizz I think is fine. Galio could probably use like a small buff, but I think that's fine. Gangplank I would like to see a small nerf onto this champion. Garen I think is fine. Gnar we still see in the meta from time to time. Gragas got buffed recently. Graves I think is fine. Gwen is fine. Hecarim is fine. Heimerdinger support needs to be gone. I don't want to see it anymore. Talia is fine. Illaoi is fine. Aurelia is fine. Ivern. Gianna. Jarvan is kind of strong, but it's kind of like refreshing seeing new jungle champions, so for now I think he's fine. Jax is a little bit OP. Kind of split it between putting him in fine or in small nerf. But let's change the meta. Let's put him in small nerf as well. Chase we see from time to time, but I think he's fine. Jhin we need to buff, to be honest, because this champion just never gets picked. Jinx is also kind of like an AD carry, that's whatever. Kai'Sa, I mean, she's technically fine, but I'm really tired of seeing it all the time. Kalista, also fine. Karma I think is also fine. Cartis I think is fine. Kassadin I think we need to put a small nerf. Katarina's fine. Kale is fine. Kanan I think can get a small buff. I wouldn't mind that. Kha'Zix is fine. Kindred is fine. Kled is fine. Kog'Maw is fine. LeBlanc just got buffed, but I don't think it's enough. Lee Sin is kinda strong, but I don't really mind him in the meta. I think it's better to have Lee Sin in the meta. And he is more or less always in the meta compared to the current tanks. Leona I think is fine. Lissandra I think is fine. I hate the Lucian Nami interaction. Like I think it's time for a new bot lane meta, so I think we just put him in small nerf. Lulu we can put in fine. Kate Lux meta. Do we want to get out of it? I don't know. Malphite is fine. Malzahar is fine. Maokai, we need to just big nerf this champion. It's been in the meta for too long. MF is also fine. Wukong, let's put him in small nerf. We don't really want him anymore in the meta. Morgana can get a small buff. Nami, small nerf. Nasus is fine. Nolis is fine. Nico's fine. Nidalee is fine. Nocturne could honestly get a small buff. I don't think that's too bad. Nunu I think is fine. Olaf is kind of strong, but he's fine in my opinion. Orianna is fine. Ornn is fine. Panfin is fine. Poppy is fine. Pyke is fine. Kiana is fine. Quinn is fine. Rakan is fine. Rammus, I guess, is also fine. Same thing goes for Rek'Sai. And Rel. Renata. Renekton. Rengar. Riven. Rumble. Ryze. Sejuani can stay, I guess. Senna, we could put Senna in like small buff. Just to kind of put her a little bit more in the meta. I think that will be a little bit interesting. Shaco is fine. Shen is fine. Shyvana is fine. Singed is fine. Cyan as well. Sivir is okay. Skarner, I actually think we can put him in small buff because we haven't seen this champion forever. Sona is fine. Soraka is fine. Swain is fine. Sylas I see, and he's kind of strong, but I don't think it's too bad. Same thing kind of goes for Syndra. Tim Kent is also fine. Talon is fine. Taric is fine. Teemo's fine. Thresh is fine. Tristana's fine. I know Trundle just got buffed, but I think that small buff was not really enough. But I guess he is fine in the current tank meta. Tryndamere is fine. Twisted Fate, not many people play him, but it is fine. Twitch, I really hate Twitch support in solo queue. So I would like to see either the interaction of Twitch support being gone or just the power of Twitch support being gone, because you're just not playing League of Legends when Twitch support is in the game. Like neither team is playing the game because he's just roaming all the time, leaving his AD carry 1v2, and then mid and top lane have to play 2v1, and it's just, oh no, I don't like it. Udyr I think can also get a small nerf. Urgot I think is fine. Varys, I still see him in the meta, but I think he's fine. Vayne is fine. Probably needs a small buff, but we'll just put her in fine. Veigar is fine. Vel'Koz is fine. Vex is fine. Viego's fine. Vi I would like to see a small nerf because he's in the meta. Victor is fine. Vladimir is fine. Warwick is fine. Saya is fine. Seraph is fine. Sinzao is fine, Yasuo's fine, Yorick, I don't know who plays this champion. Yuumi probably needs like a big buff because he just got heavily nerfed. But I don't want her to be in the same state as before. Zac is fine, Zed is fine, Siri is fine, Six is fine, Cillian is fine, Zoe is fine. I think we can put Zyra on small buff, because we don't really see this champion at all. And Samira is fine, Seraphine is fine, Set is fine, Oliver is fine, Yone is fine. So let's not really focus too much on the champions that are fine, because there's so many. But in terms of champions that needs like a big buff, I would say that Yuumi would probably need one. Now if we scroll down and then see in terms of just win rates, then we have, I mean, Veigar, Orianna, LeBlanc, Azir, Ahri, kind of like a lot of champions here at the bottom. But I think I wouldn't make like an insanely big patch. I would start off with this, having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 champions, either small buff or big buff. And the reason why these champions are in the buff section are simply because either I haven't seen them in a very, very long time, and I would like to see them a little bit more. Or simply because I feel like they're very weak whenever they do get picked that very rare time. And then we scroll down and then we go to the nerf section, and there are a lot more champions here. And what I want to do is I mainly want to focus on obviously the jungle changes, but also AD carry seems very much like the same champions. And I feel like top and mid lane has like the most flexibility at the moment. And I'd like to maybe give them like a few more opportunities by nerfing the meta champions. And then you could kind of maybe do like a small buff to any of these champions that are fine if you want to specifically bring them into the meta. So Amumu, Anivia, Ashe, Elise, Gangplank, Jax, Kassadin, Lucian, Nami, interaction, maybe not individually, but just the interaction. Wukong, Twitch, Udyr, and Vi. The reason why I want all of these champions nerfed are because either I see them a ton in solo queue and in pro play, and it's first of all just to have like a refreshing patch where it's like we actually get to see and play new champions, and then also because I think that they are too strong whenever they are picked, and they're just being picked all the time. For Annie, Aurelion Sol, Heimerdinger, and Maokai, these are just very insanely boring champions. Annie just got overbuffed, so she just needs to be nerfed by quite a lot. The new Aurelion Sol rework is just insanely broken. I don't mind Aurelion Sol being an actual champion compared to before where he wasn't a champion, but he's just like stomping solo queue, again in all games. Heimerdinger, I'm simply just sick and tired of Heimerdinger support, especially with Ashe. Again, like it's just the bot lane meta are so annoying. Like it's Lucian, Nami, Ashe, Heimerdinger, Lulu, Seri, like all of these champions, and it's just so boring. And out of the bot lane meta so far, I decided to not touch like the Lulu plus Seri or Lulu plus Sivir, because I feel like that one is the least annoying one to play against. And Maokai, I mean, Maokai saplings are just insanely broken. Like it's just a very boring champion to play against, because the way that these champions kind of function is if they get onto the objective before you and they get Prio and River, you just more or less have to give up the objective, because you're gonna be taking so much damage from Maokai saplings, Heimerdinger towers. Like this zoning power is just way too big, and that's why I want them, I wouldn't say completely gone. I wouldn't hate if they were completely gone, but make it so that they're not being picked literally like half of the games. Have them maybe being picked like 1 or 2 out of 10 games. That is kind of what I want. So let me know, what do you guys think about the champions that I put in the buff section, and what you think about the champions I put in nerf section. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And then if there's a champion that you feel like I kind of undervalued in the fine section, where it's like, nah, this champion needs to get buffed, or nah, this champion needs to get added to the nerf list, because I would like to know. So here's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave a like, remember to comment what you think about the list, and then subscribe to not miss out on the next video. So thank you for watching, and see you guys.